This crime was about as indiscriminate as it gets. The guy on the bench looked to be in his early 40s, appeared respectable enough for this part of Glasgow, and was dressed casually in T-shirt and combats. Neri wondered if the corpse had a wife somewhere. There'd be kids most likely and friends, colleagues from work, mates down the pub, and all of them would be shocked rigid when they found out what happened to this guy. He was unlucky enough to have become the fourth, entirely random victim of the Sandy Hills sniper. These motiveless attacks on unconnected victims from distances of hundreds of yards away had shocked Glasgow into a kind of paralysis. People were afraid to be out on the streets. Some were too scared to go to work, and even pubs were reporting a downturn in business. And the press, as always, was sticking the knife in. Baffled police left clueless, being just one of the more helpful headlines that morning, followed by the strapline, "Police can't guarantee sniper won't kill again." As if anybody could guarantee that. Now there was a fourth victim, which meant the tabloids were going to have a field day. Fucking journalists. All they ever did was sneer. He'd love to get some of them to try and find the bloke responsible for this and see how they got on. They'd be bloody clueless, the lot of them. Everyone was freaked out by this killer, because they knew they had just as much chance of being picked off by him as the next man. The sniper didn't care who he killed. So far, there'd been a van driver, filling up his vehicle on a busy petrol station forecourt in Sandy Hills, which is why the press had dubbed the killer the Sandy Hills Sniper, even though he shot people from all corners of the city. Next, a middle-aged businesswoman in a trouser suit was gunned down walking home from work during the evening rush hour, closely followed by a young guy shot from his bike while he pedalled down the middle of the street on his way to get his exam results. Straight A's, of course. The press loved that bit. And now this. A fourth victim in 10 days. A poor, harmless bloke out for a stroll in the park on a Sunday afternoon. Thank God they had McGregor on the case. Neri's boss, legendary Detective Chief Inspector Robert McGregor, already had a theory. He reckoned the perpetrator was copying the Beltway snipers attacks of 2002, when 13 luckless souls were gunned down randomly in Washington and Virginia by a nutjob called John Allen Muhammad. "We've definitely got ourselves a copycat," DCI McGregor told a room packed with detectives, who were hanging on his every word shortly after the second murder victim was positively identified. At least the brass had been sensible enough to put their top man on it, temporarily commandeering McGregor from his duties looking into Glasgow's gangland killings. Everyone knew McGregor would want this case. He may have been brought back to his native city to tackle the gangs, following a stint breaking up firms in London, but he would relish being reassigned until this one was cleared up. And cleared up it shall be, he assured the officers in the briefing room. Now here he was, striding purposefully down the hill towards them. Trust McGregor to get here before the soccos. His entourage of medium-ranking detectives trying and failing to keep up with him. Tall, strong, powerful, his trademark long dark raincoat flapping behind him in the breeze. No wonder the tabloids called him the Caped Crusader. As McGregor drew closer, Neri straightened until he was almost at attention. There was something the governor possessed that made you strive to do a good job for him, almost made you want to be a better man after you'd been in his vicinity. Neri supposed that was called leadership. McGregor wasn't like other senior officers. All they worried about was managing their own careers, but it was obvious McGregor cared passionately about the job, and he had an incredible instinct. People said he could think like a gangster, and was hard enough to take them down himself, being unafraid to get his hands dirty or his knuckles skinned. The stories about him were legendary. What man in the force wouldn't respect that in a boss? DCI McGregor drew alongside Neri, his burly frame almost blocking out the light. Some of the detectives were out of breath from the yomp across the park, but McGregor looked like he'd just stepped from his car. "Jason," he said, "how's the family?" There was warmth in the question, and it caught the younger man by surprise. After all, there were surely bigger priorities. "Good, thanks, boss." A quadruple murder on his hands, and McGregor still had time to ask after his well-being. Amazing.